Did your narcissist ever have expectations of you? Like expectations that you didn't understand, that you didn't realize was part of the deal in being in that relationship? You see, oftentimes in those relationships, those people are forming a thought process or forming an idea of what they want you to be. Typically in a relationship, you'll see this as goal setting. And oftentimes you see in a narcissistic relationship where that goal setting is oftentimes either never talked about, of like, you're just not meeting my expectations, but I'm not going to tell you what's wrong. Or you'll see that goal setting is constantly moving, it's constantly changing. And a lot of times this provides a lot of confusion for a lot of people, not understanding and not knowing what's actually going on. They're like, wait a second, you wanted me to do this. Now I've done this. Why is this not acceptable? Why is this not good enough? And you'll see it happen time and time and time again, where the narcissist keeps having those expectations move up, move up, move up. And each time you get close to it, they keep moving that higher and higher. You see, the reason why a narcissist does that typically is because they don't want to sit with the fact that they're actually the problem. They're the one that is actually the problem in the relationship. Let me give you this illustration. Think of it this way. If the narcissist says, hey, this is what you have to meet to be able to meet perfection, to be the person that is ideal for me, or the person that you have to be for me. And you get to the place where you meet that. The narcissist has to keep moving that forward, because if you met that and all of a sudden everything is perfect, everything's perfection like they want, right? They would start to realize that the relationship still isn't working. And the common denominator at that point is them. A narcissist doesn't like to be held accountable, doesn't like to be responsible, so they're always going to blame the other person to try to move that a little bit farther, to try to move it a little bit farther, saying, okay, it's not me, it's you. At the end of the day, the narcissist is more concerned about their image and control of that image than they are about hurting anyone or whatever might happen in the relationship. It's all about them, and it's all about the image. I want to talk to you today a little bit about those expectations. Expectation that just comes for granted in a narcissistic relationship of like, hey, you have to meet these expectations, and if you don't, well, that's your fault. We've been going through the book recently, The Narcissist in Your Life by, there we go. Can't really see it. Okay. Narcissist in Your Life by Julie Hall. Trying a new setting because it doesn't work. And it talks about this. It says people in long-term relationships with narcissistic partners are expected to do the following endlessly and to little with no reciprocity. So think of it this way. Mind read. Were you expected in the narcissistic relationship to be a mind reader? You know, oftentimes it's like, I don't even know what you're asking. I don't even know what the expectation is. You just show up one day and then all of a sudden they show up a different way. You're like, wait a second, like, I don't even know who's walking in the door today. Like, I don't even know, is it the abusive person or is it the happy person, or like, what actually is it? If you didn't master the concept of mind reading with a narcissist, it probably made it very difficult on a day-to-day basis of how to interact with these people, because they're expecting you to come across a certain way. You know, whenever I was at work and in the process of, delegating stuff to teams or anything like that, I would get really frustrated when people didn't automatically know what they were supposed to do. Because in my mind, my ego, my entitlement of like, you should know this. Like, this is something. But in reality, I was expecting other people to read my mind. But I wasn't actually saying what my expectations were. A lot of times with a narcissist, they want you to agree without question. Don't question me. Like, that is like the ultimate thing of like, I just told you what to do and now you're questioning me. Like, how dare you? That's literally like the thought that like goes through the narcissist's mind of like you're rebelling against me right now because I just told you to do something and you're questioning that. Like, how dare you question my intelligence, my authority, all those different types of things. Number 3 is acquiesce without hesitation. That automatic compliance is oftentimes what a narcissist is looking for. And when you don't comply automatically, it's like a trigger of rage. This is something I have to work on a day-to-day basis in dealing with our daughter, who's now 3 years old. So she's not at the place where she understands everything. And so there's times when I tell her not to do something and she does it, and that is very triggering to me, because I'm like, you should have complied right away. You should have done exactly what I told you in that moment. And oftentimes that can be very triggering for narcissists with the rage idea. They expect you to self-sacrifice. They expect you to give everything that you have for the narcissist. Because remember, everything that you have is theirs, and everything that they have is theirs as well. So like as a narcissist, I'm entitled to everything that you have to offer. So I'm always thinking like, hey, this is what I need from this person. This is what I need from this person. And I would go through life that way. A very unfulfilled way to go through life because I'm not putting into anybody. I'm just taking from everybody. That self-sacrifice was expected. The other one is give attention. When's the last time you didn't give your narcissist attention? How did that blow up? How did that handle? Give attention and give admiration. They kind of go together a lot of times. Maybe you didn't, placate to your narcissist like ideas and thoughts and everything. Maybe you didn't give them enough props for the idea that they came up with or the work accomplishment that they just did. Maybe you didn't adore them enough. And as a result, they got frustrated and mad and blew up at you. I always crave the idea of getting that admiration. So like I would be in especially like a work environment or like in an affair, like I would be in a place where I would be craving that attention and that admiration. So I'd do anything I could to be able to get it because I wanted to be the center of attention. I wanted to be the main person there. Number 7, clean up literal and figurative messes that are not their own. So a narcissist doesn't want to take accountability for the things that they caused, whether that's emotional or mental mess, or whether that's like a physical mess. So like they just made a mess in the kitchen or the bedroom or whatever, but like they don't want to take care of that, so they're going to put it on you. Hey, that's your responsibility. Like you're the person taking care of the house. Like you're the person that's at home. Like why aren't you taking care of my shit? Because in reality, that's what the narcissist wants. They don't want to have responsibility over the things that they've done, but someone else to clean up after their messes. A lot of times narcissistic partners, they're expected to excuse callous and abusive behavior. Did you get this in the relationship where the narcissist is just attacking you, and you're just supposed to shrug it off? You're just supposed to move forward past it? A lot of times people have that thought process and that idea, from the narcissistic side of like, hey, like you should just get over it. Like what's the big deal? Like the past is in the past. Like just keep moving on. Oftentimes they want to be able to do that to avoid the accountability in the moment and to focus them on what's next in the future. But it's not about the past. Anytime they try to excuse away their behaviors, a lot of times you'll get talked to as being oversensitive or overreacting to normal things that you should be reacting to because the narcissist is either baiting you or making you think one way or another. Another one here is endure constant criticism. What did that look like for you? The constant degrading you, degrading what you wore, degrading how you talk, degrading, the makeup that you put on, degrading the places that you went, degrading the friends and the family that you had around you to be able to isolate you. The narcissist expects you to be able to put up with that. Submit to boundary violations. This is a big one with narcissists because a narcissist views something that you put up as a challenge a lot of times of how am I going to get past this? How am I going to blow through it? Because the narcissist doesn't think that those boundaries should apply to them. My ego, my entitlement says that boundary you're putting on me, like, how dare you restrict me? Like, that's not something you restrict. Like, I am the person that doesn't need those boundaries, so I'm going to blow right past them. And you should be happy with that. You should be okay with that. A lot of times they expect you to accept double standards. Narcissists are going to have those. You can't cheat on me, but I'll cheat on you. And that back and forth that plays off and on. A lot of times they're expected to provide reassurance. Like, were you expected to provide reassurance to the narcissist? Like, they'd come in, scream and yell at you about something, then they go out, come back in, be like, why aren't you encouraging me? Like, why aren't you supporting me? Like, no matter what was going on in the relationship, the narcissist was typically trying to say, like, you still need to give me that admiration, that attention, that reassurance about what I'm doing. That fragile ego that's being hidden by their ego. Forgive transgressions. A lot of times the narcissist says, like, you should just forgive and forget. Like, you should be able to forgive and move on. Like, it's not that big a deal. It's in the past. Like, why can't we keep moving past this? But for the narcissist, they expect you to forgive those things. But that part is the hard part because people think like, oh, it's a good thing to forgive the narcissist. The problem is when a narcissist keeps asking for forgiveness, but with no changed behavior. You see, forgiveness without any changed behavior is just manipulation. It's just another way to be able to control you. And oftentimes they'll do that time and time again. The other one here, defer their needs. The narcissist is expecting you to get rid of your own needs because your needs don't matter. The only thing that matters is the narcissist's needs. The only thing that matters is my needs. So in different relationships, it didn't matter what they were going through. So like when someone's upset, or when someone's sick, or when someone's tired, like, so what? Like, that just affects me because you're not producing, you're not doing what you need to do, you're not serving me. Because that's the thought process that's going through a narcissist's mind. And the last one here, it says, take the blame for how the narcissist has hurt them. Did you see this a lot of times? Because a lot of times they'll switch it back on you. They'll make it feel like it's your fault. It's your fault for everything that happened. And so they switch the blame back on you, and you end up apologizing for something that the narcissist did. Oftentimes you'll see this in the silent treatment, where the narcissist will go completely silent. They'll ghost you. They won't say anything at all to make you think that you're crazy, and to get you to come to the place where you're like, the only way I can get them to talk to me is to come back and apologize, or to say, hey, I might have been wrong. And that's when the narcissist wins, because they realize they've created and they've manufactured something that's not actually real. They've made you apologize for something that they did. Narcissists will do that time and time again to try to be able to control and manipulate the other person into being a servant, into being subservient to what the narcissist wants on a day-to-day basis. Were these some of the expectations that you saw in your relationship with a narcissist? If so, leave a comment down below just so other people understand they're not alone.